In this video, we're going to import the Drupal database and connect the website files to that database. So, switching back to my assets folder, I have this CacheBacon database.sql.gz file. This is a gzipped database dump. So it has everything you need to make this Drupal site actually work. So the way we're going to import this is using phpMyAdmin. I've loaded that up in Chrome, which I like to use for uploading files if I have to do it through a web browser, because it shows upload progress in a way that's a little more meaningful than others. We're using phpMyAdmin to do this import. phpMyAdmin comes with nearly every web hosting account on Earth these days, so I figure it's the best way to get the best coverage for as many people as might watch this. Now, you'll need to connect to the actual database into which you're going to import stuff. I have one called CacheBacon. Yours may likely, in fact, it probably will be called something different. But one thing I'll mention, you do, if you can, want to make sure that you have a database set aside just for this. Every Drupal site should have its own single database. Sometimes they'll even have multiple databases for a single Drupal site. But if you can avoid it, you don't want to share a database with another web application. This is especially important if you're working with something like Drush, which does not support table prefixes. Table prefixes are a naming convention used to allow different web applications to share the same single MySQL database. It's much, much preferred to keep everything for a given web application in its own database. But sometimes your web hosting account may only support a single database. And if you're not willing or able to search for a more full-featured web host, then you can use table prefixes and it'll be okay. But I recommend single database per web application, especially when working with Drupal. So that tirade over. Now we have CacheBacon, the database, but there's nothing contained in that database. So we need to import that file from the assets folder. So I'm going to go to the import tab. And here we have the file to import field set. One thing that you want to make sure of before you do this is that you have gzip in the list of supported file compression types. If you don't, you'll need to switch back to the assets folder and decompress this. On a Mac, you can do this using the archive utility. And you'll just get this .sql file. As you can see, it's almost an order of magnitude bigger than the compressed version. So the upload will take a lot longer, but it'll still work. Fortunately, in most cases, in my experience at least, phpMyAdmin will support gzip, if nothing else. So you can just choose the file from the assets folder. I'm going to use the compressed version and click go. Okay, so now we have loaded up the database, and it's quite a few tables, as you can see. And if I switch back to my web browser and reload this, we're still going to get the same error. And that is because Drupal, although there is a database there, Drupal is not yet connected to it. So what we need to do is connect Drupal to the right database. So I'm going to switch back to my file transfer application, and I'm going to open Sites, Default, and here's the settings file. Now there's two ways we can do this. One would be to edit this file directly on the server, which is the way I usually like to do it. I either do that by using the OpenWith functionality built into Transmit, or I could do it via the command line over here. But to make sure that this works for as many people as possible, I'm going to show you the way where you download the file and upload it again. So I'm going to copy this over to my assets folder, switch over here, there it is, and I'm going to open it. So if we just scroll down to the right spot, it's the first part of non-commented code here. And all we need to do is change the database username and password in my case. Depending on your hosting setup, you may need to change the host as well. But the database name here is CacheBacon. And my username and password are CacheBacon and Salty Sandwich. Now again, this is going to be something that will differ for your particular setup, so make sure that you get these pieces of data and fill them in correctly here. So now I just save the settings file. I can close this, switch back to Transmit, grab this file and upload it again. And now it's asking if I want to replace this. I do indeed. And now when I switch back to Firefox and reload this, voila, I have this demo website all loaded up. There's some navigation elements, some blocks, some content. This is our starting point. So now you have seen how to import an existing Drupal database for an existing Drupal website and connect it to your Drupal files.